Well, as we've been talking about 50 days until the NFL season, but now is the time, friends. Start doing your research and start figuring out how you're going to draft. I want to see some crazy things going on when it comes to fantasy football. Do some crazy stuff. But that said, Jamey Eisenberg, our fantasy football expert, no need to text him or email him or try to hit him up on social media like all of us do when we're like, oh, Jamey, who should be drafted? I don't know. You came up with some good players. What's up, Jamey? How have you been?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am chilling, ready for football season. Okay, so let's jump into this. You got some sleepers here, some big names. We're going to start with number one guy on our list, maybe the most notable. George Kittle got a huge new deal, 31, about to be 32 years old. So why someone like him versus maybe a younger guy like Brock Bowers or Trey McBride?
It's all about value, man. I know we're going to talk about the 49ers a little bit, but you look at the situation right now. He was last year points per game in PPR leagues better than both Brock Bowers and Trey McBride, and those are going to be the first two tight ends drafted in the majority of leagues. Understandably so. The upside for those guys is probably better than Kittle at this point. But every year, almost every year of his career, but every year in the last several years, anytime you would say, oh my God, Deebo Samuel's going to miss time, or Brandon Ayuk is going to miss time, we just get so excited about George Kittle and the outlook. Well, now Deebo's out. He's off the team. And Ayuk is probably going to miss the start of the season with a knee injury. So there's just immense upside for George Kittle, and you're getting him at basically a two-round discount comparatively to Brock Bowers and Trey McBride, and that's really the best part of this.
And he's getting paid, man. I tell you what, you see George Kittle everywhere this summer. Maybe it's that new contract. Let's go to someone else who is not surprising to be on the list, but the situation that he's in is a little confusing. You get Jerry Jeudy there with the Browns. Most confusing quarterback room that is in the league probably right now. You're not worried about that?
I'm very worried about that, but I think that's where the cost comes in here, because if you tell me right now, and I think you tell fantasy managers right now, that Joe Flacco is going to be the starter for the majority of the season, we see Jerry Jeudy's average draft position probably shoot up around, if not 2 or 3, because of the way he finished last year with Jameis Winston. That's the similar type of quarterback production you're expecting from Flacco. Now, if it's going to be Shadur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel or Kenny Pickett, any of the non-Joe Flacco quarterbacks, then this is, I think, where Judy's average draft position sort of comes in. So we see him somewhere in that round 6, round 7 range. But last year to close the season, he was producing like a top 10 overall receiver. So you're getting that type of potential for a player who's going to be the best receiver on his team. David Njoku is going to be a very big part of this, and maybe Cedric Tillman is as well. I really like all of the Browns' receiving options. But I think if you tell me Joe Flacco starting the majority of the season, Jerry Jeudy's upside is through the roof. So that's why I love targeting him in almost every draft that I'm in.
Okay, so we're going for value here is what I'm getting. And maybe this takes us to the next guy, Dak Prescott. I know Haley's ears are perking up over here. Did you have him last year?
No. Last year, my quarterback, though, was Jared Goff. So,
that was fine. Yeah, she was good. What about Dak Prescott do you like right now, Jamey?
Tell me.
Well, she picked the right year to be out on Dak Prescott, because last year was obviously one of his worst seasons, missing time with the hamstring injury. Now, he is 32 years old. He's coming off of that injury. But look at all the things that have happened to him this offseason. Now he's healthy. The run game in Dallas could be potentially awful if Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders and a couple of rookies are going to be the leading options there. They add George Pickens, so he finally has that second receiver that he's waiting for. And CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson are still there. Almost every season of Dak's career prior to last season, he's been north of 23 fantasy points per game. That's top 5 caliber type production. You're getting him in some cases outside the top 12. I have him ranked in the top 10. I think he's going to have a solid season. Again, he just has to stay healthy, but take advantage of the options around him. If the Cowboys struggle to run the ball and they're chasing in a lot of games, which could be the case as well, I think Dak's going to have one of his best seasons. So don't forget about who he is. Don't forget about Dakota. He's going to have a bounce-back season. I think it's going to be a big year for Dak Prescott in Dallas.
He's like child number 2 or something like that. So he's got his work-life balance figured out. You saw their favorite twin comeback player of the year. I don't know, Jamey, being a dad, does that like help or hurt your job?
Depends on how old the children are. Mine are getting a little bit older, so it's making it a little bit easier.
Okay, just wondering. This next guy, I really love him. I was reading about him, and this is somebody I'm writing down. Vikings running back Jordan Mason was just traded to them from San Francisco, though. He was undrafted, and when you read up on this guy, you're hearing breakout year for the Vikings, breakout year for him, sleeper. Why do you love him so much?
I love the setup. You know, I'm a little bit of an ageist, so when you get to see these running backs like Aaron Jones getting to that 30-year mark, it starts to get a little bit concerned about their production, especially for a guy like Jones who's coming off a lot of work last year. And Kevin O'Connell, even before they re-signed Aaron Jones, said that they felt that Jones' best situation was when he was in Green Bay and he was in the committee situation where he was sharing touches. I think Mason's going to have an opportunity to play in a role in tandem with Jones right away. And then we see these type of lottery ticket running backs, guys that take advantage of an injury that occurs. So last year, Jones played through 3 significant injuries. It kind of fell at the right times for him, going into a bye week, going into extra rest, and he was able to play through these injuries. I don't know if that's going to be the case this season as well, again, just based on his age. So Jordan Mason's value to me is fantastic. His upside is through the roof. We saw it last year. Christian McCaffrey was out to start the season, and Mason was the lead running back for the 49ers. He did a fantastic job. So you're talking about a great offense and a great system, and I think Mason's just a good fit as the backup to Jones, and then could eventually take over if Jones does miss any time.
All right, one more guy we want to talk about, Falcons wide receiver Darnell Mooney. Really underrated last season. I was trying to find out and look up articles kind of mid-season. He was only on like 50 or 60% of rosters at the time. Why do you want to snag him?
I think we're looking at an offense that's going to continue to be one on the continuing to progress going into the first full season of Michael Penix Jr. as a starter. Now, we didn't see Penix and Mooney play a lot together, only one full game last year, but it was 5 catches for 80-plus yards in that one game. And Penix averaged over 30 points per game for the Falcons in the 3 starts that he made to close the season. So I think this offense is going to continue in the right direction. I do like the fact that there's really concentrated targets. That's what we love for wide receivers. So you got Drake London on one side, you got Mooney on the other side. Maybe Kyle Pitts can bounce back and play at a high level like the guy we saw in his rookie campaign. But Mooney, the way that he finished last season, I think is going to continue into this year. He's going to get a great opportunity. And then if something were to happen to Drake London, this is going to be a guy that Michael Penix leans on. You're getting him in some cases in the double-digit rounds. I think the upside's through the roof. This is going to be the guy that I have probably on most of my fantasy rosters, just because he's so cheap and the upside is still very much on the table.
Jamey, someone like Terry McLaurin, who's dealing with some contract issues and stuff like that, when you don't know exactly what's going to go on, how do you approach someone like that?
So what we've seen for the most part is these guys that have been these holdouts or hold-ins, going and showing up at camp and not necessarily participating because they're wanting new contracts. They haven't exactly had great seasons. The setup is there for McLaurin to be great. We saw it last year, career high in touchdowns. He finally got a quarterback that he could rely on and trust, and Jane Daniels helped elevate Terry McLaurin. Now, they did add Deebo Samuel. They bring back Zach Ertz, so there's going to be a little bit more competition for targets. But if you tell me he signs a new deal and everything is fine, I think McLaurin is a great round 4 pick. If he's going to be a hold-in or potentially a holdout and becomes a problem, then we're going to continue to slide, and it's just a matter of at what point do you want to jump in and get a guy that still has tremendous value. So he still has a chance to get 1,000 yards, still has a chance to get 8+ touchdowns, but if he's going to miss time in no matter what capacity in camp, he's going to fall for me starting in that round 5, round 6 range. But right now, if everything is fine, I'll take him in round 4.
Jamey, I appreciate it. Can't wait to blow up your phone. We'll talk to you soon.
Can't wait.
Jamey, the host of Fantasy Football Today. Again, you're ready year-round. Maybe you have those dynasty leagues. I don't, because I am not dedicated like that to pretty much anything in my life. However, I am really getting ready for the NFL season. Now just 50 days away. Start taking notes, folks.